All right, guys, we are over here at Power on E-Bikes in Houston. I have a link down there. We got the HOVSCO over here. We got all of the accessories installed. I know in the regular video we had talked about getting those installed. We just reviewed the bike, you know, as the bike came. A couple things are different. Just as, you know, this sits right here. We got the running boards on here. We've got the child carrier set up here, and then the cushion seat also installed back here. And then over here in the front, we got this pretty large front basket. Now it's a little bit wider than most front baskets, which is pretty sweet. Still, it's within the limits of the handlebars, so you don't have to worry about, you know, this running into something before your handlebars were. If you're, you know, being smart about it, this will still fit in, you know, it still fits in line with the profile of the bike, but it is a little bit wider and it kind of comes out a little bit. So it gives you a little bit more options as far as stuff that you want to put in there. Because we got that extra room here. Up in the front it says max 10 kilograms here, so, you know, don't put 11 in there, right? That's what this says. Although, to be fair, it is very sturdy. I mean, I'm picking up the whole bike with this rack, flinging it around. So, you know, that's what it says on there. But probably could fit some more stuff in there if you had to. As far as like the finish and stuff goes, nice finish, good finish up here where it goes into the frame, so it doesn't detract from the aesthetics of the bike, which is, you know, pretty sweet. One of the main things we mentioned in the review, we got this kind of like nice, slick look to the bike. Everything looks polished, well thought out, and so it'd be silly if, you know, the accessories were a different case, and they're not. So that's pretty dope. And then here in the back, let's start at the bottom with these running boards. Now the running boards are about, I'd say about 4 inches or so wide. I could get out a tape measure, guys, but then where's the fun in that, you know? And I got to leave room for people to criticize me in the comments. So that's what we got here on the running boards. These ones are pretty simple. You just got the 2-bolt system right here, but these are bigger, heftier bolts. And, you know, all the welds and all of the spots where you put in bolts on the HOVSCO bike are pretty sweet, pretty streamlined. They seem beefy, almost industrial grade. So having just those two things there, this is a pretty solid foot mount. And then we've got the pair on the other side. You can kind of see them both from the top view. Left one on this side, right one on this side. That's left and right, folks, just in case you guys had forgotten. Again, it's still the same thing on this side. Nice and sturdy. Definitely wide enough for a foot. Put my foot on the top here. Plenty of room. I've got pretty wide feet. These are Zero minimalist shoes, so they tend to be wider, have a nice wider toe box to it, and I still am fitting on the inside of that. So plenty of room here for a passenger. Now, if you didn't want to have the child seat here, you could easily take that off. There's 4 screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4. You pop those out, and then you've just got a nice long bench that you can sit on. The other option would be to install this direct to the rear rack, and then you could not have the option to put that on. But if it were me, there's some mosquitoes. If it were me, I would probably leave it like this, and that way if I want to go back and forth between the child safety seat here and having somebody bigger to just on the back and utilize these footrests, you could do that. But if you want to take the whole thing off, then yeah, there you go. If you don't need a child seat, well, gosh darn, just get this, you know, nice pad here. And so let's talk about the child safety system here. Now, this is something similar we've seen from other brands. It is not necessarily the, I don't want to say like not safest, but depending on, you know, the age of your kid, like my son's 3.5, this would be something where he could fit in, puts his arms up on the side, and he would be in here pretty safe and secure. But he rides bikes, and he understands kind of, you know, what we're doing. If your child was a little bit smaller, you might want something that's completely enclosed or a way to strap them down. This doesn't necessarily provide that, so probably for older kids in my opinion. But it looks sleek. You know, the black tubing here matches pretty much everything else on the bike, so there's no like weird differences between the rear rack and this. If you look at it from the side here, it just fits in really well with the whole of the bike. Now the other thing, it's not installed, this is our top wood dealio here, so if you guys like that style, that would be from the original review. That's going to be an option. And then we've got this huge rear basket. Now I'm setting it on top of here. You wouldn't necessarily, or could install it here, But if you didn't have the child safety thing here, the entire back of this thing could be a cargo. Now this is 20-ish plus inches. Again, could whip out a tape measure, but I'm not going to because I like the fun of guessing. And it is about, say, 14 inches wide. So pretty big space to fit, pretty much everything. You couldn't fit, a large pizza box in here or anything like that, but you got a couple sacks of groceries easily. You could easily fit an entire backpack back here or a gym bag. There's lots of things you could put here in the back for sure. Now, here it'll say, HOVSCO max 25 kilograms. So in the front we had 10, 25 in the back. So it's 35 kilograms of rated carrying capacity here. Not to include, if you're going to wear something on your back or, you're towing something. There's lots of options as far as, carrying stuff if you get real creative. But so this is something I think is really pretty solid. Now, you probably wouldn't need all the accessories, right? It sort of depends on your use case and what you're looking to do. They sent us all the accessories because, well, we're looking to review some stuff. So if you are just looking for, cargo capacity, you don't have a second rider, you don't have a kid, and the kid thing probably doesn't make sense. Even this back pad doesn't make sense. You just want to get that huge rear basket and the front basket up here. Now, if you had those two things, you'd have a ton of carrying capacity. And then with our original wood hardtop here, you would have even further options as far as loading it up, coming up with your own solutions. But the fact that, the big rack over there does plug in really well to the system, that might be something to consider. And obviously, if you have, a little tyke you want to carry around with you, then the child seat would be the way to go. If it were me, this is my bike, I'm keeping it long term, all those nomenclature, not nomenclature, what am I looking for? All of those things that I say about bikes. If it was going to be mine long term for my specific use case, I probably wouldn't go with this. I probably would go with maybe the front basket. Not a huge fan of front baskets in general. Now this is a little bit nicer, but just again, me personally, probably wouldn't go with the front basket. And I would probably do a combination of the footrest here with the padded seat and have the option for the big rear basket if I needed to, take it out and use this as a car replacement. Because if you got, all of this storing capacity up here and then you get the big rear basket put on here, you could carry quite a bit of things. And that's depending on, your household, etc., etc. That's something where you could do a grocery run with this thing pretty easily. But for me, I would probably have, maybe a second passenger on here a little bit more often than, just my son. If my wife and son wanted to be on the back, they could do that. So there's lots of options, I think, given the flexibility of having this soft seat here. The other thing that's cool with this rear rack, technically you could remove it. You lose the mounting point here for the rear fender, so it wouldn't necessarily be something you want to do, but it is removable, not terrible to get it in and out. And then we've got the built-in integrated light, which plugs in right over here, so that is plugged into the battery, so you don't have to worry about an extra battery or anything like that. So all in all, if you are looking for a car replacement, this is kind of the bike, at least from what we've tested so far this year. This one kind of has my vote for most ready to replace a car. We've got good range on it. We've got some very good, accessibility as far as the seat can go down really low on this thing, meaning it could be, ridden by a ton of people. We've got these handlebars with some good adjustments, to go back, to go forward, to again fit a lot of people. And all of the car, all the cargo carrying capacity on it is pretty impressive. So all in all, this gets my vote for the best car replacement that I've personally been on this year. There's some other ones out there that we've seen, the Aventon, Abound, a couple other cool cargo bikes out there from, Turn, Yuba, some of the higher end quality brands. But for something that is in our affordable price range, which at Electrified Reviews is $2,000 under, you don't really find a lot of the features that you get with this bike and with the accessories to really replace your car. I think there's several sort of in the affordable category where, it could replace certain aspects of it. But unless you're carrying around, you know, another bike or 3 people or, you know, something wild where it's like, okay, a car makes sense. Maybe even, you know, an SUV might make more sense. The bike is going to fit into your life in a ton of different ways. So I like the platform. Big fan of it so far. I just want to show you guys some of the accessories that we got here. If you want to know more, I'll have a link to HOVSCO down below. And if you guys got any questions for us, whether they're specifically about the accessories or the bike in general, let me know down in the comments. You can check all the specs for all the stuff, and I won't guess. I'll get real specs for you as far as some of the measurements here. Those will all be over at electrifiedreviews.com, and we'll catch you on the next one.